Hello and welcome to this short tutorial of Rapid Intake Authoring Basics, the types of users inside of mLearning Studio and eLearning Studio. In this short tutorial, we're going to talk about the different types of users that exist in both of our authoring tools, mLearning Studio and eLearning Studio. There's 4 different types of users. There is an admin, so we'll talk about what is an admin, and we'll talk about what is a manager, and then what is a developer, and then we'll get into what is a reviewer. When you get into your eLearning Studio or your mLearning Studio account, if you're an administrator, you can click on the Admin tab and come down to where it says Add a User. If you click on Add a User, this is how you add other people to your account. So when they come to the URL, your same URL, they can enter in their own username and their own password and start working on courses. Now there's 4 different types of users that you can actually make them. So if you enter in their information, their first name, their last name, their email, their phone number, all this information is optional except for username and password are both and email are all mandatory. So if you enter in their username and their password, you can then come down and assign what type of user: a reviewer, a developer, and a manager, or an administrator. So once you enter in their information, assign what type of user they are, you can click Add a User, and they immediately can go in and start working on courses. Now, depending on what type of user they are, we'll give them different access to different parts of eLearning Studio or mLearning Studio. So let's talk about what different types of users there are inside of eLearning Studio and mLearning Studio. We're going to talk about, first of all, what is an admin? Well, an admin has access to the Admin tab. Now, this is the tab that I clicked on in order to add a user. So the admin can add, delete, and modify users, including usernames and passwords. So if you want to manually change a password for somebody, you can do that. However, users can actually click on a forgot password link, so you don't have to do that if you don't want to. There's also a view. They're able to view and update all projects across the board, whether they're assigned to those projects or not. And they can go in and they can delete projects as well through the Admin tab. You can also, as an admin, add and modify groups and labels and descriptions. Now, groups and labels and descriptions allow you to organize your content, to organize your courses into different groups, and it's only for the authoring purposes, so it's really not something that's going to make a difference when you publish the course, but it's really a way to organize courses into different groups inside of the authoring tool. You can also add and modify category and priority settings for when a user is reviewing. When they're actually reviewing a course, they're adding any type of notes or descriptions or things that need to happen. They have a drop-down box of categories and priorities that they can tag on those different notes and comments, and the admin has the ability to add those different types of categories and priorities. The admin also has access to customization. So anybody that needs the ability to create custom styles and pages needs to be an admin. So keep that in mind. If they're not an admin, they do not have access to be able to upload custom styles or upload custom pages as well. So if you have somebody on your team that needs that ability, they need to be an admin. The admin also has the ability to create new projects and assign other people to those projects when they're creating the project. They also have access to the authoring tab, so they can also build and modify projects and work on projects just like any other developer. And they also have access to review and leave feedback on other courses. And so they can go in and they can launch courses and leave feedback on those courses just like any reviewer can. So let's talk about what is a manager. What's the difference between an admin and a manager? Well, a manager does not have access to the admin tab. They only have the ability to create new projects and assign people to those projects when they're first creating them. After they've been created, if they wanted to assign somebody to that project later, an admin actually needs to do that. They have access to the authoring tab, so they can still build and modify projects, and they can delete, or they can go in and they can add pages and content and build just like a regular developer. And they also have review and or feedback options where they can go in and launch a course and leave feedback, comments, and suggestions. So really the major difference between a manager and a developer is the developer does not have access to actually start new courses. A manager does have access to start new courses, but the developer only has access to the authoring tab and only assigned courses. So they need to be assigned a course before they can actually do anything. If they are not assigned a course, they can't do anything. And they still have access to any courses that they're assigned to. They can review and leave feedback on those courses. Now, as far as a reviewer, reviewers can leave feedback on other courses, and that's really all that they can do. Is they can launch a course, they can't make any changes to a course, they can't delete pages, they can't add quizzes or even modify any of the content whatsoever. They can only launch the course in review mode and leave comments and suggestions on a page-by-page basis, and all of that information does get tracked within the system, which we'll learn about in a different recording, but they only have access to do that. Now, keep in mind that all accounts, though, you're not paying for reviewers. You have unlimited reviewers, and that's something that Rapid Intake throws in for free. And so you can have clients that you don't want them to be able to have the ability to change anything, but you still want their feedback. You can do that through the by assigning them or adding them as a reviewer, and you don't have to worry about paying for them or anything like that. That's unlimited access.